Welcome back to Uncovered, everyone. Today, I'm super excited to announce our guest, which is Chilli Rox. We are just like over the moon to have Chilli on our podcast. We're actually down the Gold Coast at the moment on a pole camp. We're midway, almost
we're
finished.
almost done.
So sorry for those watching on YouTube. I literally just came out of a private with Philly, and I haven't been able to get changed or anything, but it's all good.
I love that. That's what you lead with.
Yeah, but it's been so much fun. So we have Chilli on our podcast, and we're going to talk to her all things pole, starting with a bit about Chilli. So do you want to tell us how long you have been in the pole industry for?
Oh God, I'm one of the OG showgirls. So I actually started before there was a studio that even existed. I started in a club called Xanadu, which was basically a rub and tug. Yep.
What city was this in?
Sydney. So it was through Bobby's Pole Studio, but they didn't have a studio yet. So Candace was my original teacher. You know Candace? Yeah. And I went with 6 girlfriends, and out of that group, Roxy, I don't know if you guys know Roxy, she teaches at the Peach.
No. Yeah, her name is familiar for me,
Yeah, so, and she's done so many of the Miss Pole Dance openers and stuff.
Yes.
So, so there was 6 of us, and there was only 2 poles in the room we used to go into in this place called Xanadu. Wow. It was hilarious. And we watch all the men come and go, but we had our own floor, so we weren't like privy to anything going on. But there was 2 poles, and 3 girls would sit, and they had a little egg timer. Candace had an egg timer, and she'd turn it over, and 3 of us would stretch on the floor while she taught 3 to pole dance between 2 poles. Wow. And then the egg timer would go off, and then we'd switch over. Yeah. And we did that for an hour. Yeah. It was amazing. And then probably I was maybe into 2 before they were like, Ness and Bobby were like, maybe we're onto something. We're going to open a studio. And so they opened a studio, and very soon after they opened a studio, I became a teacher. Yeah. So the original Bobby's teachers were Bobby, Candace and Jamila. Mm-hmm. Oh. And then came Susie Q, me, Sassy and Isabella. And Sassy still pole dances, but she pole dances just for fun now. Yeah. And Isabella still teaches at Bobby's Pole Studio.
I love that.
All these years later.
Oh my God, that is crazy.
Well, we've talked about a lot like our start of pole, and Steph actually started in a sex shop. So she didn't start in a studio either.
So I signed up to a class, and it was in like a Naughty But Nice. I don't know if they have them in Sydney. I'm like, I don't know whether, but anyway, sex shop. And I remember rocking up, and I'd been into this sex shop. So I was like, where the fuck are the poles? Like, is this dodgy? Like, I've just paid $200 for this thing. And I'm like, am I going to walk in? And anyway, walk in, and it was to the side. So, my first couple of times we were in a sex shop.
There you go.
How many poles were there?
There's 5. And there was 2 to a pole. So, like.
Stages or actual poles?
Actual poles. I bolted in and everything. Like, I didn't know the pressure mount. Oh, actually, I did know the pressure mount things existed because I had one that I impulsively brought from a sex store one night. I was like, let's get a pole. So, it's it's crazy how far we've come.
Yeah. That's so actually pole choreography, all the pole choreography classes that you've seen throughout the years, that's mine. So what happened was we had somebody from the Sydney Morning Herald come in to do an interview on pole dancing, this new craze. And his feedback was, it was great for strength, and it was a great workout, but he didn't feel like it was a good cardio workout. So I was like, well, why don't we put these moves into a routine and do a dance routine for the whole hour?
So originally you guys were just doing...
just classes, just leveled classes, so you'd come in and learn new tricks each week, and you'd work on one routine for the whole 8 weeks. We had 8-week courses then. I know other studios do 10 and whatever else. So
we're all different these days, Yeah,
so pole grooves or pole dance or pole choreography, essentially, I created.
Wow.
Yeah, and I created it badly because my girls are so spoiled. I started, all these years ago teaching an entire routine. So now they expect an entire routine. And I go into other classes, they're like, we only do 1 minute of choreo. And I'm like, I do the whole song every week.
So
my girls are really good. They pick it up now.
So is this awesome. This is the class that there's a new routine each week?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so choreography.
Part of me is
classes.
just like
So
that.
you hate me?
Sorry about that. I was going to be like, there will be some haters on this topic, I'm sure.
Some instructors that are like, I can't make up a new routine every single week.
I know, it's my fault. I'm sorry, guys.
Some people, I know some instructors have gone to like over 2 weeks. They'll teach the same routine 2 weeks or sometimes 3 depending on the terms. But then if it's like a drop in or people can do like, whenever they want, you won't, people might not have come to the first week, that'll come to the second week and then it gets all complicated.
I know.
But
they do that in Singapore. So they have a class in Singapore. I'm actually probably more popular in Singapore than I am in Sydney. They have a class, slap dance studio in Singapore.
Heard of it.
They have a class called CPP and it's Chilli's pole play.
Cool.
And I basically just give them routines and they teach them over 2 weeks. So what my girls learn in 1 week, they have 2 weeks to do. But it works really well. It's really fun. It's nice to have a sister studio,
Yeah, that's beautiful.
I had no idea about that, the choreography.
I feel like we're going to learn a lot in this episode.
Okay, so then when the studio Bobby's opened, and so then how did it go? Like, how did it progress? How did you see it progress from there?
It was insane. So it started off and I think
exploded.
Yeah. And I think the very first, so I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong about this, but I know it was the very first studio in Australia, but may even be the first one in the world, like actual pole dancing studio. So you might have to check on that, but I'm fairly certain that it was. And there was 25 students only, and like within a year, they were up to something ridiculous, like close to 1,000 students. But they had the market. There was no other competition. There was no and so
So when did the classes run? Just because I know for us the classes in the evenings are most popular. Was it like all day, like during the days, mornings, nights?
Yeah, mornings, lunchtime, and evening. And because it was like
in the
right
city?
in the heart of the city.
Yeah.
Back before COVID, when everybody worked in an office, nobody was working.
So
at
you could
home.
pop down on your lunch break, those types of things.
True.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And I was really lucky because I look at what's coming through now. And I mean, we were talking about amateur comps at the moment, and people are doing rainbows and birds of paradise and spatchcocks, and you're just like, whoa, I would come last in this competition. They're meant to be amateurs. I was very lucky to get into it when I did and become a teacher so early.
Yeah.
Because I do wonder if I took up pole dancing now, would I ever have made a teacher? Who knows? Like,
I think the same
talent's
too.
the same.
Yeah, I think the same, and I'm only 10 years in, so I'm like half of your time, and I do think
It's
the same.
wild, isn't it?
When I started teaching, so I think I'd been polling for about a year, and the owner was like, hey, like I see some potential in you, like I see you helping others and correcting, like have you ever thought about being a teacher? And I was like, oh, not like no way, I'm not good enough, like I didn't even think about it, blah blah blah. And there was like another studio opening like near where I lived, and they were like, oh, we'll train you up. And now to become a teacher, you have to interview for some places. Like you have to like, it's like, I find that most places don't like, it used to be like you were scattered.
Yeah.
And now, and like there was heaps of opportunities, but now it's like so much competition and everybody
wants to be an instructor. Like they're all like, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. I get to pole all the time. It's like,
yeah, it's not actually like that.
Quite, not quite. But anyway.
Yeah.
So from there, when did the first competition start?
God. So there was amateur nights. We had Bobby's amateur nights, which were always held in like strip clubs and stuff. But the first big thing was Miss Pole Australia.
Yeah.
And that was 2005.
So was it just straight out Miss Pole Australia, or there wasn't any state heats, or like it wasn't
Well, there
like
probably
it was
wasn't state.
Or was it just Sydney?
No, it was just in Sydney, but people came from all over.
Okay.
Yeah. And no, there was state heats actually. There was state heats. Unless that was the next year. I don't know. I just remember, it was in the Bourbon and Beefsteak, which is a really dodgy King's Cross hotel. Tiny, and we were all packed in like sardines. So we all stood up, and Jamila won. But I love, like Susie Q was competing in 2005, and Susie Q is going to compete in Icon this year. And the history for me in that is just insane. Like at my first big competition, watching her, and with Susie, like I said, Jamila did the Jade Split that year, unveiled the Jade Split, which is obviously my favourite.
Yeah.
Pole move. Obviously, you were going to ask me that anyway.
I was.
She was going to ask me what my favourite. I mean, I think everybody knows, but I always say it's not just a Jade Split unless you do it with a 2-finger smile. One of those, and then it's heaven. But anyway, she did it, and I was like, "What is this witchcraft? Like, how are you split upside
So
down?"
that was in the
It was
first
like-
Miss Pole.
First Miss
The first
Pole.
one.
And it was absolutely crazy. But an extended butterfly back in those days
Was like the
that
top
was
of the move.
top of the top. Like there was nothing harder. And now I see people are doing that sometimes in their first year of pole.
I know,
You're
it's
like,
crazy.
what is going on? Like we were just like hook spins.
Yeah, I was going to be
Spinning
like,
climb, you thought you were magical.
so what were
what?
So what was like the biggest move that you remember like wanting to go to when you first started back then?
Oh, I remember outside leg.
Yep.
Fold inside leg. So it's leg switch.
Leg switch.
I was like, what the hell just happened? They're not holding on.
Wow.
And I remember looking at Jamila and Bobby doing it, just thinking, if I ever can do that in my life, I have made it, you know?
So did they, how did they learn those moves?
Just
They
through the clubs.
Yeah.
So they were working girls working in the clubs.
Yeah.
And they would just, get bored, I guess, and
Play and
do it.
experiment.
Yeah, do something
Yeah.
fun for each other sort of thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Crazy.
insane.
I know, it was so cool. But yeah, I'll never forget. And the thing was with Susie, somebody like Susie, who I think is the epitome of Aussie showgirl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every single show she has done since 2005, I could rattle them off and tell you all of them.
Wow.
Yeah. Pink Panther was the first one. Okay. Then, well, I might get my orders wrong, but she did Lara Croft. She did a doll. The doll was 2007. I remember that because 2007 we moved to La Montage. No, the Enmore. So 2006 was La Montage.
Yeah.
So we went from the bourbon and beefsteak dodgy nightclub to like a reception venue.
Oh, a little bit of an upgrade.
And then 2007 we moved to the Enmore, and that was when I first started emceeing this whole. Yeah. So it
Wow.
started off. There was a lady called Rachel St. James. And
Yep.
she was gorgeous, a stripper. She was on Bloke's World. So she was sort of like a bit of a personality around Sydney. Everyone knew who she was. Quite a beautiful showgirl. She was the first MC. Then Maxi did it on his own in 2006. And they had an amateur Miss Pole then.
Yeah.
So Miss Pole amateur and which Amber Ray won. But Daisy was in that as well, but Amber Ray
Oh
won
my
that year.
gosh.
That's
Yeah,
You're
and-
good with your history.
Yeah, 2006 was Felix's first win, and
Yeah.
she'd only been pole dancing for like 6 months.
Oh,
But she was like Russian ballet, you know. So she
Yeah.
came in, and we were just like,
Who
the
is this
line,
girl?
the flexibility. We'd not sort of seen
Yeah.
that before. Yeah, but Susie was always in the placings, always.
Yeah.
And then she once did this thing that was like a showgirl thing where she pretended that the music was broken and she had these big wings and like then she did Lara Croft. Like every time she did a show, it was memorable. And the thing that I loved watching most about Susie, and this is a thing that people can take just from being at comps and watching comps, nobody wants to feel nervous. When you watch a performer, the last thing you want to think is, I think she's going to fall.
Yeah.
And Susie has such control. You can
Yes.
just watch it and enjoy the show
Yeah.
because you absolutely know nothing's going wrong. She's just the consummate professional.
I've read her book and
I just started reading it.
Oh, have you?
actually.
How far
There you
through
go.
are you?
Like 10 pages.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so new. Yeah.
I'm still
It's
real
a-
early.
It's amazing. I want her to make a movie out of it.
Yes.
I think it's just the way it's written is so well. You can just imagine it. Like
Yeah.
you're just in there.
And she started so young.
Yes.
Like she was really,
Yeah.
really young when she started her career. So even now, like she's still a baby, Like
Yeah.
I'm still, she's been around for so long
Yeah.
that she's still so young.
Yeah.
And I'm just, I'm so excited that she's like, because she's one of the OGs.
So is she performing in Icon on her own or with
No,
Toby?
she's going to do it with Toby.
Toby.
She did get invited first on her own and she considered doing, and what she was going to do, which would have been amazing, which I also find hilarious, was she was going to do her doll routine because it's epic. It's an epic
Yeah.
routine.
Yeah.
If you weren't there if you were there in
need to-
2007,
Is there a
you'd
video of
remember
it?
There should be something on YouTube. That was also back in Miss Pole Dance. It was 7 minutes minimum.
Oh, yes, I
know,
do
yes,
remember
I
this.
do.
Yeah, I have heard these stories.
Yeah, so that's a big show.
That's a huge
And-
show.
Yeah.
But it's more. It's more the show because when you go
Exactly.
to any I'm trying to think, like any like theatre productions or
Exactly.
shows. It's not just a 2 minute.
No.
It's a story, and the way
Exactly.
it's not just
And
trick. You can't do that in 7 minutes.
And that comes from our history, which is obviously a lot of the Bobby's girls were showgirls.
Yes.
So that's like proper
You do a
featured
set.
showgirls, and which I still do. And it's sad because it's a real dying art. The last time, every time I go to Podium Goddess, because it's next door, the venue is next door to Sefton, a strip club that I've worked in for years and always did showgirl. And I remember the last time I was there, the lady said to me, it's such a shame, like you girls are a dying breed. You come in with these incredible costumes and themes that match the music, and you've got props, and it's a fully beautiful 15-minute show down to, you know, do you obviously get nude at the end. And she's like, the new girls coming through, they put on a sparkly bikini, they go up to the DJ and they're like, play whatever. And she's like, it's just not the same. And she said,
That's what I was going to
there's
ask.
you,
Like, what is the
there's
difference between
Susie,
showgirl and
there's
like
Daisy. That's it.
strip? Like, what is that difference? And it's obviously it's a planned
Yeah.
routine.
And isn't it funny? I was just talking about it today. If you asked me to do a 15-minute showgirl for you right now, happily. It's my forte. I believe in myself so much in that. If you ask me to do 3 minutes worth of tricks, I will cry, I will sweat, I will carry on. I will not want to do it. It's not
Interesting.
how I grew up, like in the whole world. I was all about the beautiful costume and the glamour and the walking and the teasing and the, you know, like the audience engagement. And this is what I say as well. Like if you're working in the clubs, and a lot of girls that are working in the clubs now, they'll tell you the same thing. You go up and do a pole trick, we've lost them.
Yeah.
You know, especially if you're coming from that men in a strip club wanting to look at a beautiful woman, you have to make eye contact with them. You have to like, you know, it's all about them and engaging with them. And the minute you go up the pole, you've lost them. So it's pole dancing is very different to, you know, the stripping industry. I mean, they marry, they're hand in hand, but very, very different.
Yeah, very different.
Yeah.
And there has been, like, we've spoken a lot about, like, the divide between, like, we call it pole fitness and pole dancing, or people that identify, like, oh, no, I just do pole fitness.
Yeah.
And it's really...
That's okay.
It is. And whatever you do pole for, we always say pole is for everyone, and whatever style you want to do it as a contemporary sort of style. You want to do twerk, you want to do strip, you want to do whatever you want, that's fine. But I do feel like that audience engagement is the one thing that I see in competitions that is lost a lot, because it is focused trick, must do this, must do that.
And even like storyline, like you talk about a story and you put on a show, like humans love story. Like that's what gets them engaged.
We want
like
to
that's
feel
what,
something.
Yeah.
Exactly. And if you can't get that, then So can we just, before we continue the conversation, because I feel like it's going to come up, can we just talk about what icon is? So when we do refer to it throughout the conversation, people aren't going, what is this thing? And if you don't know what it is, you're living under a rock. But, but let's just get it out now. So as we're having these conversations and we're
that's a
looping
good
back,
idea.
people know what we're talking about.
Yeah, so Pole Icon is a brand new premier championship featuring the best of the best Australian pole artists. There'll be so many different styles, and the idea is that we're going to try to get to the most iconic performance. I believe they're all icons, and for different reasons. They were handpicked by me. There's been controversy. I mean, obviously, there's a few people that were very upset that they were left out, but I'm like, it's only the first one, relax. You know, and also I'm sure like a lot of people have opinions, and they're like, why wasn't this person, you know? The people that you might think of, they were asked. There were a few people, including our judges. We have Miss Gracie. She's not doing it because she's pregnant.
Yeah,
I know, how
Congrats.
exciting.
Amber Ray was invited, did say yes, and then she had to pull out due to her work schedule. She just didn't think she could give it what it needed. But I can tell you right now, Amber's in the opening as well, and we'll judge. I can tell you right now, she's going to have the worst FOMO of her life.
Yes.
And she'll be in it next year. I know she will. I know she will. She's already told me
She'll
this
be like, I'm
amazing
planning
show.
already.
Yeah, she'll be like killing herself for it. And the other one, of course, Dame Felix Kane.
Yes.
The most iconic pole dancer that's ever lived. I mean, she really is.
Yeah.
She won the Miss Pole Dance 3 times. I was there when she unveiled the spatchcock. I was there when she unveiled her eagle. And we live for it. It doesn't matter how many times we see it. It's all we want to see.
Yeah.
Nobody can walk like her in heels. Nobody commands the audience like she does. 2 times world champion. I mean, she's insane. Her competing days are over.
Yeah.
She's got a baby now and everything else, but she will guest show,
Yeah.
which is insane. Yeah, so basically what you said before, we love a story, but we also want to feel something. And like we've got people like Blue Phoenix and Lola Grace. Now
Yeah.
here's a scoop that not everybody knows.
Ooh.
We think they're dancing together. So,
Because I saw them on there as Blue Phoenix and Lola.
yeah.
And then I was like, oh, are they together?
They have the option at this stage.
Okay.
But they are training together. So I'm hoping, because if they're not the two sexiest pole dancers going,
I can't.
mean,
The amount of times that I've watched Lola's videos just on repeat.
she's stunning.
And I'm just like, how do
Stunning.
you move your body like that?
Exactly.
And then Blue Phoenix, I
Same.
don't understand. Like he can body
know.
roll.
Oh my
Liquid.
God.
Better
He is just
than-
like,
Sex on a
I
stick.
look at him and I'm just like,
Yes, we all do.
I know. So one thing I said, like to Ross, I'm like, this guy.
Yeah,
Actually-
here's your hall pass.
You know what? You know what? When I first started pole dancing, he came up to our little studio
lovely.
in like the Brisbane Bayside.
Yeah.
With Chris at the time.
No,
and-
Chris Travis.
Travis, sorry, not Chris. I was like,
he is Chris.
Chris.
Yeah, I'm like, I know where you're going
like,
with
I was
this.
like, Chris and
Because they
Travis.
were Brisbane based at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. And they did like this most amazing doubles like thing that I've ever seen. And then they also danced on separate poles. And I was just like, this is the most advanced polling I've ever seen in my entire life. And I just watched them and I was like, and they're males.
Yeah.
And how do they move like that? Like,
Yeah.
what the? And I
know.
just fell in love. And I remember doing some workshops with Travis at the time. And he taught me some stuff. And the way he just, he spotted me through this trick. And I was like, wow, this is really good. And then I tried it on my own. I'm like, he did everything.
No, it's funny actually, like watching Chris teach. Like I remember when we were working together at Bobby's, I'd be in class and I'd be teaching the girls and I'd teach them a trick and they'd get it or whatever. And then they'd do my class on, say, Monday night and Chris's on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
And one night I walked past the room and he was teaching the exact same trick that I just taught them. And they were all like, yeah, we don't understand what muscles you're moving. You're going to have to remove your shirt. And I was like, you liars! And I walked in and I was like, girls, you all know how to do this. Like, what are you doing?
That's
Like, just making him do it over and over. And I've also
funny.
seen people when he's underneath them just fall into his arms. He's gone over for a spot and they're like, he'll catch me. And sometimes he's like, oh my God. And I'm like, you can't just drop into his arms. Like, the poor guy. But he is, not only is he an amazing dancer, for those of you who don't know him, he is the most incredible human.
Yes.
Like, during lockdown, he was one of the, I've got great, I know we all have great friends,
Yeah.
but he is somebody who will actually reach out. I'm just checking in. How are you? He's just a
nice.
very quality, beautiful man. But anyway, the two of them together, I'm going to have lots of mixed emotions because there'll be, as much as I'm going to be, I think, very horny, I'm also going to be very, very jealous. And I feel like I've got a lot of feelings already. And I don't know how I'm going to cope. One part of me is like, yes, how exciting.
Chilli just runs on the stage.
know.
I mean, stop it.
Yeah, how exciting to have them together. But on the other hand, how hard for my little heart. I don't know how I'll cope. So we've got that. And the thing is, when I say something to feel, like they're so exotic. And I think sometimes I liken pole dancing to porn in terms of sometimes I like watching stuff, but I don't particularly want to do it.
Yeah.
I enjoy watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't move like them.
Yeah.
But I could watch that all
Oh,
day.
100%.
You know, I'll never be able to move like Lola or Chris, really. Like, they just are so beautiful. But the thing is, that's iconic in itself because,
Yeah.
you know, a feeling of that, they're just going, man, that's so sexy, or feeling a little bit of, that's a feeling that's iconic. And that's what we want. And then we've got somebody like Beth, who, I mean, the flips, like, and she is someone who just doesn't even know how amazing she is.
I
you
know.
like,
You could watch it just the way, just flip and flip and flip.
next level, like twice Australian champion. And this is the thing, like these people, none of them have anything to prove. They don't need to do it. And I am going to speak to them about what drives them. I mean, someone like Philly, twice Miss Pole Dance, Australian champ, like really, you know, you don't have anything to prove. And the thing that I love the most about this, and this is why I want people to you know about it, is Coco and Maddie both said to me, when we go into other comps, because you've got to think, something like Miss Pole, there's a lot of new girls coming up.
Yeah.
And often
Yeah,
they're your
it's true.
students.
Yeah.
And if you get beaten by your student, you know what I mean? It's like, it's this fear of always trying to be the teacher and be better. And Maddie said, I feel like there's absolutely no pressure on me because no matter who wins, they're all amazing. They're all icons,
I love it.
And so they're treating it. And Coco said the exact same thing. She said, it doesn't feel like a comp to me. It feels like a celebration. And that's how I want it to feel. I want it to be a bunch of
Look
mates
what you're creating.
who've known each other for years, coming together to celebrate pole. And I hope that the newbies come through because, like I said, my memories of Miss Pole Dance, the very first Miss Pole Dance in 2005, and then again in 2007 when we first went to the Enmore Theatre stage and Felix unveiled that spatchcock. You know what I mean? Like my feelings about those are like they happened yesterday.
Yeah.
And, you know, imagine in 10 years' time when we sit here and do this again and talk about the first icon and who won it and how we felt, you know? And also the other thing is obviously with all of us, we're all armchair experts. I mean, I had a go at the podium goddess judges last week. Like, what the hell were you watching? You know, and there's a girl who's on the camp at the moment that I'm obsessed with, and I went, you may not have won the other week, but you were my winner. Like, we all have different opinions, right? So at Icon, there's going to be a people's icon.
I love I overheard you talk about this there. Like,
I was going to say, like, what is the judging like? How is that going to happen?
Look, I feel like because they're all different styles, like somebody like Beth, she doesst come from that school of Dallas D, which is glitter cannons and 10,000 people on stage. She'll probably have a 12-piece band. Let's face it, right? And then there's Beth, and it's her on the stage with her tricks, and she's like, I don't stand a chance. And I'm like, but you do. Because somebody like Gracie as a judge, Gracie never looks at anything but the competitor. Gracie's a really interesting judge.
Interesting.
Whereas I'm very much, I want the whole
shiny. Look
at me. I am. And I'm a terrible judge as well because it's like choosing a favourite child and I just get so much guilt afterwards. So I hate doing it.
Have you done a lot of judging?
Not too much. I did some overseas. And even to go into videos, that's what I always say to people when they're entering comps. You think, you know, you can just go into your studio. Don't do that. Because the thing is, when you're getting 400 entries, it's usually the first 20 seconds where you decide.
Yeah.
So if you're dressed up in your costume with good lighting and you smile, you're instantly more engaged. And the girl next to you could do the exact same tricks and even a little bit better, but you're still thinking about that show.
Yeah.
So honestly, that's just a little tip. So I am very taken by that sort of thing. But I know, you know, if her tricks are iconic, she'll get that thing. So we're going to have a tricks icon, a dance icon, and a show icon, but then third, second, first for pole icon, $10,000 for first prize.
I know,
People's icon.
I literally, Charlie Love told me about it, and me and my best friend Maz was standing there. It was a class. I think I was taking the class, and like I think I was drinking some water. And as he said it, I literally choked. She also was like, and then everyone else kind of was like, oh, okay. And I'm like, you guys don't know what this means.
These guys, these amazing humans have pretty much been doing stuff for a sash and a title, and it's to keep them current so they get jobs like what's happening right now. You know, it's like, so getting on the camps and stuff, it's really hard for a pole dancer to make a good solid career, you know, and you girls know it's a hard, it's not an easy job. People think it's easy, it's not. And you do have to stay current. And I think that's what drives them to keep doing these shows. But I love the attitude that everyone's coming together sort of going, well, look, this is going to be an iconic show. Let's just celebrate.
Yeah.
We're all different.
And I love how you're promoting that difference. And I know that and we've struggled so much, in competitions, it's like, okay, this is the competition, this is Miss Pole. So you wear heels and it's more sexy. This is QPC or APC. This is more tricks focused. And then there's some, you were saying, I overheard the other day, was it Sexy's back? Where it's you're sexy.
Your version of sexy.
Your version of sexy. And I know our studio does a little, it's called Student Showcase at the end of the year. It's not a competition, but they make up their own routines and put it in, and they can do whatever they want. And they can touch poles, they don't touch poles, they can have props, they can do whatever they want. And it's just so much more, the vibe of it is actually feels a lot more enjoyable to watch. And no one's under that pressure. You're saying with it just feels like they're just celebrating the day or they're celebrating the night and just enjoying it. And everyone can actually feel free to be themselves.
Exactly.
Which is really exciting. And I think it brings out the best in people.
Absolutely. And I just think, I look at, I've heard somebody talking about just the differentiation between different sports, like something like an AFL player.
Yeah.
They can get over 100K for
believe it.
running out onto the field. And I don't think people understand, I mean, you know, the amount of work that goes into being at that level, that Philly and Adam and Bethany and, you know,
I know.
Gracie and
You are
Mishka.
a professional.
You're an athlete.
You're an athlete without the same support.
Exactly.
That
and
they
that's
have
what
on
I'm
that
trying
field.
to do. I'm trying to bring it into the mainstream. So we've got like Alyssa Edwards coming from the US, and I just am obsessed with her. She's got like 2 million followers on Instagram. She is
I did
so
see that.
popular.
Yeah.
And she's just amazing. So she's going to add a whole new element. Iota, have you guys seen Mad Max Fury Road?
No.
Okay, well, he's
Sorry.
the guy. So he's Coma the Doof Warrior in that. So he was like tearing around the desert in a onesie playing guitar, and he wrote some of the songs for the soundtrack. He's Frankenfurter in Rocky Horror. He was in Eurovision.
Yeah.
He's an incredible singer, so he's going to do that stuff as well. So hopefully some musical theatre people. So it doesn't have to be just your pole people, like tell all your friends.
Yes,
Amazing.
icon.
But it's just that I just can't wait for like,
Yeah.
I don't want to, I'm not saying I can definitely wait for 10 years because I don't want to be 60. But anyway, in 10 years' time when our baby poll is coming up now.
I know.
You know, for them, and it's something to strive towards.
Yes.
And, you know, one day.
It's going to
They could be on pole icon.
like,
Yeah.
I love,
Oh, I love it.
I love the name Icon too, because like, and it's just, that's what it is. It's going to be iconic.
Yes.
The people competing, or the, you know, people performing in it, and also just the show itself.
Yeah.
Everyone's
Gracie's
gonna-
decided she wants a gold buzzer. So you know how they do on like, Australia and America's Got Talent. Iconic! Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe this could be the start of like a mainstream television show on pole dancing.
It should be. It should be.
Yes.
That's what
And this is the sort of stuff that
dream.
changes the pole world. Is
Yes.
someone like you having a different take or different vision on something that someone's already created.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Awesome.
yeah, I'm
Thanks
so
for
excited.
bringing us pole icon.
Oh, it's going to be amazing.
There's already,
I'm
it's
so
already
excited.
the talk of the town. Like everyone's already got tickets.
Have you got FOMO yet?
I do have FOMO. I think I'm gonna just.
You have to
You
come.
have to.
I know.
How
I
could
know.
you not?
I know.
And
it's-
also it's at Luna Park, and don't ride the giant slide is my recommendation. Unless you're a
somebody get-
real daredevil.
Why? What?
Oh, it's horrendous. Like when I was a kid, I thought it was fun. But like that losing, it's awful. I don't ever want to do it again. I did it once, and I was like this after. It was so
So
scary.
what? I think I've been to Luna Park once when I was.
Oh.
What's the setup like? Like
It's
for
like
people.
a proper
like a
theme park. So you have to
Yeah.
walk into the theme park. So it's free entry.
Yeah.
And then obviously if you want to ride rides, you just pay
Yeah,
for your rides.
tickets, yeah.
But
Okay.
you can walk through, check it all out.
So
take
where's
some
the
photos.
show? Where-
It's inside Luna Park. So it's called the Big Top, and it's a massive big circus tent.
Ah.
Yeah, and you go in and it's got a big beautiful stage and it's
It
huge.
looks huge.
It's
Like when I was
huge.
looking at, I just like
Yeah.
was like best available tickets and just like picked whatever came up first
like,
because I was so stressed it was going to sell out.
Yeah.
Then when I looked at where my seat was, it was like, yeah, I couldn't believe how huge it was.
Yeah, it's awesome. But every seat's a good seat. So up the top,
Yeah.
you're actually looking down, which means you don't lose any of the floor work or anything. And we have the 2 big screens on the side, so
Oh,
you'll be able to look at
wow.
them in
That's
full
epic.
like close up as well as watching
you-
live.
So are you going to utilize this is my business brain. Are you going to utilize the big screens for like sponsorships, like
Of
those types
course.
of things?
Absolutely.
What about live stream? Are you guys doing live
I
stream?
haven't decided yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know there'll be a
But
lot
it's
of
not
people.
the same.
No,
You
it's
know
not
what I
the
mean?
same.
Like,
the same.
It's sitting at home. It's not the same. It's the atmosphere and it's the nervous
Yeah.
energy and it's whoever you're rooting for because you can't help but have your favourites.
Yeah.
I do as well. Like as soon as if it's people that I know well,
Yeah.
when they walk out on
Yeah.
that stage, I am so nervous for them because I just want them to do their show the way they want to do their show.
Yeah.
And I want to see that face when they come off, which is that yes face, you know, like
'Cause you-
rather than the face, you know.
Yeah.
And there are a couple of them redoing routines that they knew
Yeah.
that was their moment and something went wrong. And so
Okay.
they're redoing
Yeah,
it
that's a
because they
great
need to
idea.
have their moment with that routine. But there's going to be mostly new routines.
I was going to say, sorry, Steph, I'm cutting.
You're
I
right.
know
No,
you're
go,
about
go.
to. I know we're all just like. I've been to 2 Miss Pole Dance Australias,
I haven't been
and
to one yet, actually.
it.
I know. I was going to go the 2020 because,
of course. And
but then
lockdown
yeah,
has stuffed us all up. hasn't
Anyway,
it?
it was the
Anyway.
like close to one of the best experiences in my life. Like
Yeah.
it was just which one was it? I think it was the one where you guys the opening act was the Devil Horns, the So Hot.
Oh, amazing. So that was Adam and Eve. That was Chris and Philly.
My favorite. That was absolutely my favorite opening act. I
Yeah.
remember me and two of my other friends / other instructors, we did like a little performance. That song, I could just play it 100
Yeah, it's
times and
great,
never
isn't
get
it?
sick of it. And just like, I just remember sitting there and be like, what the hell? How have I never been to a show like this?
Yeah.
And I've got all, like the reason I asked it was live stream or filmed is that because I've got like so many years of the Miss Pole dances, and sometimes
Yeah.
I'll just sit down and have like my movie night.
Yeah.
We'll just be watching all the routines.
Amazing.
And just
isn't it-
and because I was there, it takes me back to that
Yeah.
feeling of being like, oh, that was
And
just
don't you
so
see
incredible.
some things that you're like, hey, how come I haven't been taught that? I've missed that or something. Like,
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I even
Or-
found in my workshop this weekend, like, because some of the girls obviously they're quite advanced at the camp this
Yeah.
weekend. A week, I should say. I don't even know what day it is.
No,
What day are we?
It doesn't matter when
Doesn't
you're
matter.
Are we
doesn't it?
Tuesday? I don't-
Tuesday,
I-
Wednesday, Thursday. Who knows? Anyway, but I did some really old school stuff that nobody teaches anymore. It was like
Yeah.
I love
back
that.
from back in the day, and they were like, "What is this?" And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, it wasn't not that it's just something new,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, because there's no point in me trying to."
And
Teach
it
a
get-
fongie, which I can't do, and then Philly would come in and do it better, you know? Yeah. You know, it's like...
You got to do you, right? You got to be.
Yeah,
you.
but it's nice. You do miss stuff because
Yeah.
there's stuff that we learnt back in the early 2000s that nobody's teaching anymore.
Yeah.
And
Even
it's
like
cool
I
stuff.
started in 2012 and there's stuff that I did in a beginner that I've not seen since.
Yeah.
And like I'm like,
It's
like
good-
I'll pull that
it's
back
good
out and I'm
stuff.
teaching beginner tricks.
Yeah.
I feel like that the pole world tends to go in these like trends and these
Yeah.
waves and like
The
oh
shiny
this, the shiny
things.
things or this is what's popular. So then
Yes.
everyone just gets on those trains and
Yeah.
they're
I mean, floor work has
oh,
come so far. We never
So
used
far.
to wear knee pads.
I
We never
know.
used to need to.
No.
And then suddenly
And-
it's exotic and we're sliding.
Okay.
And we got rid of the carpet and it's like, what's going
so
on?
what is your opinion on knee pads?
Oh, I think they're horrendously ugly.
Okay,
But I do think that they're necessary.
Gotta save the knees.
Okay, no, I know safety first.
Yeah.
But I do think that when you're going to compete, rip them off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do all your training in them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or bling them up and do something with them. They're
Don't just-
horrendous. They make your they just
They
cut,
cut
your legs
yes.
off.
And yeah,
but
I was
they're
talking
very
to
necessary.
yeah, I was talking to some people about it, and a lot of pole dancers. There's a lot of split because they're like, no way, never wear knee pads.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just makes the lines look shit. It cuts
Yeah.
them off. It ruins the whole feel, ruins the atmosphere. And then some people are like, well, I want to do this like kip onto my knees, or I want
Yeah.
to flip off, or do this crazy handstand thing.
Yeah.
Flip around and not break my knees, obviously. So
Exactly.
they're like a necessity. So
Yeah.
yeah, I know that. Like even
If
in
you want
teaching,
longevity, you probably should put a
Yeah.
knee pad on.
even in teaching choreos like these days and having our students, sometimes I like because we always practically wear knee pads now,
Yeah.
especially like the
I
repetitiveness.
know it took me forever to buy my first pair of knee pads. Now we have people in their first week and they're like,
Yeah.
oh, do you think it's worth investing in knee pads? I'm like,
And same
Fuck
with
yeah.
it's
Yes.
fuck
it's like
yes.
boots and knee pads, and I'm like, hey, like we're gonna do a routine, and we're not, and I won't put in hard knee stuff, but we're just gonna dance it, and we're not gonna have knee pads. And everyone's like, what?
Yeah.
And I was
yeah.
like, knee pads didn't exist. Like,
No,
we're
exactly.
never dancing with knee pads
Yeah.
beforehand. So it's interesting how that trend
It's
has.
just the industry has grown so much. Like
Oh, so
even
much.
there's a studio on every corner pretty much.
yeah.
Yep.
Everywhere. Like it's crazy.
Especially
And then-
more so in Sydney. Like you guys are so much more dense than we
Oh
are
my
in
God,
Queensland.
it's
So much more
crazy.
dense. We've at
Yeah.
least got some distance.
No, like
between us.
I've got on either side like a 5-minute walk.
Really?
Yeah, but it's fine. We're all
Yeah.
mates and we all
Yeah.
like it's fine. But it is what it is. It's
Yeah.
really like there's so many.
And we've spoken about that a lot before, but like the more people in pole, the better.
That's exactly
For
and
all
you know
of
who-
us.
Yeah, and that's Coco actually. That's her motto.
Ah.
Yeah, she's always like amazing, how exciting. Like
Yeah.
never.
That's Steph.
Never
Steph's
like, damn it,
always
you know,
been
like-
like, great.
Yeah, like
There's room for us all. It's like
Yes.
big brands, right?
Oh,
I
The
agree.
shoes, like there was girls
Yeah.
today going, I love pleasers, and others going, I love hella heels,
Yeah.
and you know, like but
And this is
we've
the-
got choice and it's great, and
Yeah.
there's room for everybody.
because we're not all the same, right? So like if you poll at my studio, we might have a particular style, like, and then if you go down the road, their style might be completely different.
Exactly.
And I think everybody can pole dance, but I don't necessarily think me and my studio and my team are perfect for everybody.
Yes, of course.
So if you're not, I like when people leave, like, oh my God, what, like, I'm so sorry. It's like, as long as you're pole dancing, like, I don't really care where you are.
Yeah,
because
you're adult.
Go what fits you.
Go and be happy.
Yeah.
exactly. If we're not the fit for you, that's
And 'cause
okay.
we're-
I'm not going to please everybody, and no studio is ever going to please everybody. So you've just got to find the right fit for you.
Exactly. Yeah.
I just love it so much.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah, I know. I was like, oh, pole is amazing.
So you've been backstage for so many competitions.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like, what is your like top backstage story?
Oh, okay.
Ooh, yes.
Australia or overseas, or you don't care?
Well, I don't care.
Overall.
Yeah.
I reckon one of the most exciting things was doing Pole Theatre UK
Oh, yeah.
because they're opening. So obviously in Miss Pole Australia, I do them. So I choreograph them and I get to choose whoever I want.
Kind of want to know how you got to that point, but let's go your story and then we'll talk about how you got to choreography, like the openings.
I think Shimmy put me forward for Pole Theatre UK and said you should, go over there and host this. And I hosted with a girl called Tiff Finney. I don't know if you guys...
Yes, I know her. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
She is honestly the most amazing human. She is the epitome of, like, freedom. Like, you think I'm wild on stage, you've never seen anything like it. There is just no filter. She's just one of a kind. I've never met anybody quite like her. And we were just like besties instantly. I just loved hosting with her. But then it was like Doris Arnold, who is basically Paris's version, or France's version of Lola, I guess. So sexy and beautiful. Felix even, sexy, beautiful, whatever. You got Slava, who's like the most beautiful, and all these big crazy names. And then they're like, and you're going to be in the opening as well as MC. And I was like, what? Oh my God! And the pressure,
an opening
so
that you're not
scary.
choreographing.
Yeah,
That's
and working with Brandon Grimm. He does all the UK openings. That was just epic, and just like, what an opportunity. I would always, they'd be like, okay, so you're coming over, when do you want to fly back? And I'd be like, in 3 weeks time, so I can go to Barcelona where I've never been, or Italy, and just that, being so close to Europe and being able to travel. So they're probably my greatest, moment.
Did you ever think, like, starting pole dancing and like 20 years ago, like this is where you were going to be?
No way that it would be my career. No way.
But how great that the opportunity exists.
Yeah. And it really came up really very quickly. I remember Bobby coming up to me and saying, how come you didn't move up a level? And I was like, oh, well, this isn't perfect. And she started to take notice then. And she said to me, I remember specifically how I got the job. She walked up to me and she said, anybody that takes that much care to make a move look good is going to make a great teacher you're on. And so just put me on straight away. Wow. So I was like into That's one awesome. When I became a teacher, so really low level. Yeah. And so, and then I was just a cover. Yeah. And then I said to her, do you think I could have my own class? Because I wanted to take a class through 8 weeks to see how I went. Yep. See
how you can progress them. Yep.
And she went, yep, okay. She was like, well, it probably won't fill. We'll give you a Sunday morning at 10. And it did. I got enough because I was like calling all my friends, come on, you're going to come to this class. Anyway, and it was great. And so it was word of mouth. It was like this. Yeah. Because back then we all thought we were doing something naughty and we had our pole shoes in our bag. And it was like, you don't tell anyone you pole dance. I remember my mum, who's now like, my daughter does this and my daughter. But back then she was like, don't tell anybody you do that. That's disgusting. You're going to pole dancing classes. So it was a much bigger taboo back then as well. But I've lost my train of thought. I don't even know what we're talking about.
Did you ever think your life would end up here?
Oh, yeah, no. And then from there, I went literally from one class to the next term, 13 classes a week. To the next term, Chilli, will you give up your full-time job? And I was like, sure. So in 2 terms, that's how much we grew. It was crazy. And I taught for Bobby's Pole Studio for 15 years, 23 classes a week. I never lost a class in 15 years. That's how busy it was. Yeah. And
But it might not be how busy it was. It might be how great of an instructor
you are. Tell you what, I built it. Yes. No, but it was great. And it was the best times of my life are there with those girls and stuff. We're still besties. Like I still hang with Daisy and Isabella and, all that Gypsy,
So much history
that
there. Yeah.
crew
Yeah.
is like, they're my girls.
I love it.
You've been through so much together.
Yeah.
And so many laughs and different things that have happened over the years. Like I was telling the girls the other day, it was their very first class. I hadn't been instructing very long. And when you lunge in class, and I'm lunging. And then I was like, oh no, I had my blue pants on and I could see a blue thread. And obviously assumed it was the thread on the pants, yanked really hard and pulled my own tampon out on their first lesson. And then I screamed and I'm like, pull my tampon out. So I ran to the bathroom like a crazy person with this bloody tampon in my hand. And these students were just like, it was their first ever class. And I'll never forget Gypsy. Gypsy just stood there and she looked at me and she was like, she always used to give us a mum face. She was like the mum of the group.
Yeah.
And she looked at me and she was like, well, they're never coming back. But they did. They did.
I love.
But yeah, I have had some shockers.
That's a pretty epic story.
I love that you told that story here. I heard you tell that story the other night, and I lost my shit. I just thought it was the funniest thing ever. One of our very first episodes, we talked about what was it? Fanny farts.
Oh my God.
It was like the unglamorous life of pole dancing.
Yeah.
They're like, fanny farts, back farts, general farts, tampon strings.
Just all the embarrassing things to happen, and just to normalize it, to be like, oh, like it's not that bad if like this happens, or you think you smell a little bit, or you think that someone's judging you because you have hair on your legs, or you have
actually have a couple of TikTok ideas around that. So we did a TikTok that was like things that happen in a pole dancing studio that nobody talks about, like sitting on the toilet in your heels. Like,
yes. Oh my God, how weird does that feel?
So far down.
So far down, and like getting underwear up your vagina, and that got like 11 million views on TikTok.
There you go.
So like it's just but there's
People love it.
People love that stuff. It happens. Like
memes
it's real.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So yeah, it's good to get it out there.
I love that
I
story.
know. Philly constantly. Did you hear her? I can't get my flaps contained today. She's been doing that all week. It's like, all right, mate.
I did actually see her flaps today.
Yay!
That's so funny.
They should have had a polecat bingo, like the two-finger smile with Chilli. You see Philly's flaps, like I don't know what. That's all I have. Justine for next year. We'll think some stuff up.
Workshop.
Definitely.
Workshop that idea.
Okay, so back to some of the competition stuff. So emceeing
Oh,
the
that's what I was
competition.
going to say. Sorry,
Oh,
just
yes.
on the same
No,
thought.
go.
Saying with Pole Theatre UK and talking about what you're talking about. Tiff, this amazing human who just does not care about
UK
anything.
version of Chilli.
Yes, she really is. She's amazing. She has a workshop called Nobody Gives a Shit About You. And it's the best thing ever. She's basically like, when you stuff up and then you beat yourself up for weeks, everyone else has forgotten about it, mate, because you only care about yourself, right? And she's like, nobody gives a shit about you. Nobody's ever going to care as much as you do. So that's her workshop.
that.
And it's hilarious. And she's just like, if you fall, who cares? Make it a move. Like, she's just nothing like, and that is just her to a T. But I thought it was so, because I am somebody who holds on. And I like
guilty.
Yeah, I've one little thing goes wrong and I'm crying about it for months. And I wish I could be less like that.
Yeah.
But when she puts it in perspective and she's like, nobody else but you, then you kind of go, I probably need to get over myself here.
I feel
really
that.
hard, but
I fell over on stage, Miss Pole Dance.
And you're still thinking about it.
And I laughed.
Even your
at the
face
time.
right now is like,
I was just like,
don't want to say this.
It was pretty embarrassing, obviously. When I did it, I was like, you know what? Shit happens. Like, it's not the end of the world. I ended up still going away with an award, which I don't know how that happened.
Yay.
But yeah, and I was just like, when it's my story that I tell to people when they're like, oh, but what if I stuff up? I'm like, I fell over in my heels in front of so many people.
Yeah.
It's fine. You'll move on. You'll get over it. Nobody else remembers it but me.
Yeah.
No one else remembers. Like,
It's just a bad day at the office.
And I think though, like the pole industry, while it's so big, it's still so small. So
Yeah.
I know coming in as a studio owner, I'm so afraid of fucking up and like everybody in the industry knowing that it's happened or something like that.
like, oh, she's the owner that did this. Or,
I just don't. And like Queensland's even smaller. So it's just like, I just get so caught up on the little things and it's just so unnecessary. So I've had to work really hard at that and like pushing myself outside my comfort zone to be like, just fucking do it and see what happens. Just fucking do it. Like this
Yeah.
podcast was one of those things. It's like, let's just do it and see what happens. Like
Let's just ask Chilli if she'll be on. If she says no, then that's fine.
we ask most people after a few drinks and we're like, oh well, we got a little bit of courage.
Nah, this is a good segue into like some advice to give to people that have been polling. We were talking about this earlier for a long time and might feel like they're losing their mojo or they don't know what to do, or there's all these people like ex-gymnasts or people coming up, students surpassing teachers. Like how do people can stay in pole and like you said for Tiffany is like not give a fuck and just and still be in it.
Yeah, what you've got to first do is I say create your own opportunities. Like I think people look to other people to create the opportunities for them, and if things don't go their way, then suddenly they're like, you know, oh, she didn't do this, and it's like, no, mate. Like if a student, you know, take some initiative, go up to your teacher and say, is it okay if the end of showcase if I do a solo? I really want a chance to perform. Or you've got to find a goal. So maybe go through, there's so many comps now, find one, right? And just be like, okay, this is the one I'm going to work towards, because if you have something to work towards, it keeps you motivated. If you don't, you'll just stop. You know, it's like I obviously don't really compete anymore, but guest shows and stuff. If I have a guest show, I'm like, okay, I've got this guest show. You know, it'll make me think about ideas and keep me motivated and stuff like that. But you're so spoilt for choice. If you get a little bit like, you know, pole's not working for you, try burlesque. Try floor work, try exotic, you know, just go to do some flex classes,
So
give it a break for a
versatile.
bit and come back. It's fine. Like it's not, it doesn't have to be, you know, this or nothing or whatever.
Yes.
And also the standard is ridiculous. So I think like you guys were talking about doing in-house comps and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's really great. A competition like Risque, I would highly recommend. It's in Canberra, so it's a bit of a hike, obviously. But in the first section, so the beginners section, you're simply not allowed to invert.
Yeah.
So if you want to go in that section, at least you know everyone's going to be on an even playing field.
Yep.
The next section up, it tells you what the highest level trick is you're allowed to do.
Yeah.
And then when you get up to the advanced, it's
Whatever.
sure, go nuts.
Do you? Yeah.
Yeah, but some of the other comps, it seems to be if you've never
Performed?
competed before, right? But you might have been teaching for 10 years, and that seems a little
you've
unfair
been-
to me, but that's just the way
Or
it
you've
is.
been polling for 10 years and it's the first time you've decided to take a competition stage. And like I do agree. I think that's a really challenging element for comps because people are busting out. Like we just had
Oh
an
my
amateur
God.
comp recently and you sit there and you're like, these guys are doing professional level
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
and they're performing like
Yeah.
professionals. So
Yeah.
they definitely, and I would say like professional for Queensland, like probably not from an overall Australia perspective, but you get like,
I went
we
to a
need to
comp
start capping.
last week, and there was a girl who was honestly Soleil level in amateur. She did a Rainbow Marchenko, a Bird of Paradise,
Yes,
a Booey Booey Bend, like all these
even
things.
just
Like she
Rainbow
was so,
Marchenko.
yeah, but she was stunning, and obviously a classically trained ballet
Yeah.
dancer. Stunning,
Yeah.
stunning, and definitely, obviously deserved her win. But would have also probably won in the professional division,
Yeah.
or you know, like I mean,
And it
it's
makes it
just-
hard because you don't want to take away from that
No,
person
of
because
course
they
not.
also would have trained really,
Stunning,
really
yeah.
hard for what they've
and
they've
this is
done.
their first time in pole.
Yeah.
But if you're a professional dancer, it is hard. And I felt like I asked the question in the crowd. I was like, who's a new baby poler who was thinking about doing an amateur comp and now they'll never do a comp again? And everybody put their hand up.
Yeah.
But the thing is, that's that comp. And, you know, there was definitely from that high level to a little bit lower, whatever. But you just got to find the comp that's
Yeah.
right for you.
Yes.
And don't give up. You can't get in everything.
No.
Like,
No.
you know, but you will find something. And if the comps isn't for you and it's just a show, ask your teacher if you can find a spot. You know what I did? I went to the pub down the road. Can we put a poll up and have poll on the pub? They went, absolutely.
Sure.
And it was legendary. We had so much fun. The first time I said to my teachers, we'll just do it.
Yeah.
You know, and then all the students came and the pub were just like, this is amazing. They'd never made so much money in their lives.
Come back every
you know?
week.
And and they had to be, because it was all during COVID and stuff, and they were like trying to count the amount of people. We're at capacity of 80 people are in this room.
That's so
freaking out.
exciting.
But the girls were like, can we do it next time? And I'm like, absolutely. So we're going to do poll at the pub just for our girls. And all you need is the next stage and off you go. You can create opportunities. Like you know, at your Christmas party, just say, I want to do a show.
Yeah.
You know, your work's Christmas party. Who cares? I'll all be talking about you. Woo.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah, but just remember, if you're feeling down about it, it's normal, and give yourself a break. Sit down and have a bloody biscuit for a minute. Who cares? You don't have to train every day.
Hey, that's going to be our quote. Sit down and have a bloody biscuit.
Yes, I wrote that on Miss Philly's every single day during lockdown. She was training and putting up things, and everybody was like, Miss Philly, you're amazing. And my comment every day, sit down and have a biscuit.
Have a biscuit.
Hey, have you heard of TV? Sit down and watch some, Dad. Like, while I was sitting there stuffing my face, I gained
so
10 kilos, but I
funny.
needed a rest. I worked really hard. I have worked really hard in pole for the last 20 years.
So how many years have you been full-time for in pole?
The entire time. So when I started, like I said,
Wow.
I did.
Yeah, it really wasn't that
straight in,
long.
23
Yeah.
classes.
Have you had any break, like extended break
No,
from pole?
No.
Any injuries?
no, no. But I'm captain safety. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't flip.
Yeah.
And I
I'm
don't.
like, I'm already jealous of you. Any injuries? I'm like 5 years
I
in
haven't,
and
like,
I was
well,
like
I mean-
picking them up.
Well,
hang
actually,
on. If we say any injuries, I mean, I wake up every day
Define
in
injury.
pain, so I feel like probably.
no,
I'll probably find out my neck's broken. Am I right? Yeah, sure.
I
but
was speaking
nothing
to
terrible.
Philly today, and she said she's never had a shoulder injury and the crazy stuff that she does.
Yeah.
But that was more from a perspective of training safely
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well. But most people think, and I think it's a common thing, like definitely the risk is a lot higher. And there's a lot more research coming out in pole, which is great for people that are doing it, that the amount of years that you've been polling increases your risk of injury just because of the amount of time, the harder level tricks, wear and tear, all that sort of stuff. And people just assume, definitely you're going to get an injury. But there's people, Miss Philly, like there's people that are up there that have been doing it for so long that haven't had injuries because they're smart about it, they're safe about it, warming up, sticking to what you know, not being crazy, doing what you like doing as well. You don't have to get to this crazy level where you do fungies and stuff to enjoy pole, to be in pole forever.
Yeah. I mean, I'm 50 and I still get so much showgirl work in Sydney. It's outrageous.
It's amazing.
And sometimes, they have some pretty spectacular people coming in after me. And I said to one of the owners the other day, I was like, I can get you girls. Like, you don't need to keep booking me. And they're like, yeah, but the thing is, you look like you're having so much fun. Because I am. I love it.
Yeah.
And you see it.
Yes.
And they're like, when you're like that, the audience loves it. And they ask for you back. And I'm like, well, I'm going to keep doing it until the phone stops ringing, Yeah, I used to stress about retiring all the time. I used to think, I'm too old, I'm too this, I'm too that. And I often go through that. It's just a woman thing, right? We're always like, we're too this, too fat, too ugly, too old, all that stuff. But like when you're getting booked for work, well, the universe is telling you the opposite, right? You just got to go and do it. And when the phone stops ringing, that's when I'll stop.
Yeah.
I don't need to. You
love
don't
it.
need to. There's no rules. You
No.
just
Exactly.
do what makes you happy, and that's it.
100%.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this has gone really freaking quickly. I have so many more questions, but we will wrap this up. Is there anything you want to say before we wrap up the episode?
I want to say that everybody better get their bloody tickets to Pole
Join
Icon.
us at Icon.
I'm telling you, it's my wedding, right?
Yeah.
I
I've
can't
never had a
wait.
50th. I've never had a wedding. I don't have kids, so I've got no school fees to pay. I've gone big.
Yeah.
And this is my big celebration. I'm so excited for it. And I'm also excited for you guys to have your own thing. That I'm telling you, it's going to happen every year. We're going to have a new icon every
Can't
year.
wait.
And there'll be obviously new people in it. And it's an opportunity. And the thing is, it's going to be the greatest thing that's ever happened to pole dancing. And if you're not there, you're
missing out on history.
FOMO, regrets, all the things. You'll be in therapy about it because you missed Pole Icon. So yeah, go and get your ticket right now. All tickets are great. Trust me, the venue has amazing viewpoints. And Alyssa Edwards.
Yeah.
I mean, the icons are insane. Felix Kane. Dane Felix Kane's going to dance. Do you need more? No,
No,
probably not.
you don't.
Done. All right.
No.
And guys, if you don't know who these people are, first of
Yeah.
all, go over to Icon's Instagram.
Yeah.
Check it out. And if you don't know who these people are because you're newer to pole, you need to stalk every single
Yeah,
one
just
of them.
Google them immediately. They're all amazing.
They're all
And some of
amazing.
them, the hard work.
Yeah.
Like I was telling you guys before about Maddie and Coco. Like
Yeah.
when they were my beginner students, and couldn't even touch their toes, could not do the splits. In some cases, I was like, perhaps netball would be better for you. And now, you know what I mean? Like, that's why I was just like,
perhaps not.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe these guys aren't going to be the best pole dancers. And they are so inspired. That's my first thing I tell to my beginners. You go home, you Google Maddie Sparkle and Coco.
Yeah.
That is what hard work looks like. And that's what I say about
And you've
Philly.
seen it from the you've seen it from the start.
Adam won my show boy at Mr. Pole. He came onto the scene and I was like, he wasn't like, he had no tricks in it, but it was something about him.
Yeah.
And so he got my first ever show boy award. And I was like, and then next year I think he won it. Like insane.
Yeah.
But yet, you know, some people are just born for it. They have this extra thing, and Adam's got that charisma, you know.
Yes.
Chris has
I
the
love watching him
sexiness.
dance.
You've got everything. You're going to have the tricks. You're going to have the sexy. You're going to have the showgirl.
Yeah.
You're going to have the floor work, the dance, you know, the bloody ballet moves. Jacob's in it. He does this beautiful contemporary. It's literally going to have everything you could ever want.
In one show.
Oh, yeah. And then
it's
you've
gonna
got
be
Luna
fucking
Park to
epic.
go down the giant slide if you're a daredevil. Not like me. So that's my final word. Come to the whole icon. Woo!
Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you
I
for
don't
having
even-
me. It
yeah.
was fun.
It was so good to learn the history of pole as well. Like you are, 100% OG. So I think it's absolutely, what's the word I'm looking for? We're very grateful to have you on our podcast. That was the word I was looking for, but I'm rolling with it. Guys, come hang out with us at uncovered.pd on Instagram. And go check out Chilli Rox and all the amazing things she's doing. What's your Instagram handle?
Chilli Rox, I think.
Chilli Rox? No dots, no underscores?
I don't know.
Straight up Chilli.
I don't know. There's two. I accidentally put myself up again, and then I was like, I don't know which account to use, but one's got way more followers. That's the one to
So
look
stay. All right. We will tag her.
We'll link it.
We'll link her. Thank you for joining us, guys. Until next time. See you soon. I can't see.
Wow, yeah.
That was so fucking